Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We are once again live here from our workspace studios.
Wow, that was smooth.
Yeah, it was smooth. Got it this week. You know, a little stumbling last week, but we've had quite a few things happen this weekend. All over sports.
As evidenced by the notes.
As evidence. Joe actually took notes today, so guys.
I do it all off memory. I do the notes for other special people.
But we had UFC, what was it?
Look, he's already looking. He's already looking.
240, Holloway and Edgar and Cyborg and...
Go ahead.
Felicia Spencer.
There we
That's
go.
who it was. That went to a decision. So did Edgar and Holloway. But the Holloway-Edgar fight, that was completely one-sided.
Yeah.
I saw that coming from a mile away from before. I knew personally that Edgar had no shot.
Yeah, but at the same time, Max Holloway coming off a loss, you never know how fighters are going to bounce back from that. So it was cool to see that. And you could just tell from his mentality and the way he was talking about the fight. He doesn't really look at it as him losing being the end of his quote-unquote career. He's one of those fighters that's like, all right, cool, I lost. So what? Let's keep it moving. In a fight like he had last match, you just see that it's still his division and there's really no one there that's going to challenge him.
Right. I don't see anybody anytime soon, at least, making a shot at that 45 belt. But then we had Cyborg and Spencer. Cyborg took the win in this one. Now she's clamoring for the rematch with Amanda Nunes.
Did you see the shirt?
I did. Amanda Nunes, Cyborg 2, January 2020 is what she's shouting from the roof.
Could have sworn Nunes came out and said that Cyborg didn't want to sign that contract for the rematch.
I believe that's
what I heard on SportsCenter.
Yeah.
And Nunes doesn't look like somebody that's going to lie, especially with her track record. She really has no reason to run from anybody.
Exactly.
So we'll see what happens. I mean,
I don't see there being much of a different outcome than Nunes demolishing her again. Maybe she takes a little longer this time, but I see the same outcome coming from that. Yeah,
but in this fight, you could just see Cyborg. She has to fight Nunes again. I mean,
it's the fight that has to happen.
Kudos to Spencer for standing in there and surviving 3 rounds, but Cyborg was hitting her like a Mack truck. I mean, the cut from the elbow was a nice move, and she was able to land that elbow. But even when she cut her, like she barely flinched.
Yeah.
So and she just worked her the rest of the match. She tried to get takedowns. That didn't work. She tried to strike with her. I mean, most of the times it looked like she was just running for her life in the cage. I mean, kudos to her for being a tough fighter, but she had no shot in that match.
Yeah. And then, segueing from the MMA world, we're still waiting for our boy Aliao to come on, give us the breakdown of PFL.
All I'm saying is he was down to do these, right? And then they threw fantasy football in the mix. He's been running, so my guess is he's been studying.
I think we just got to hit him up. I think he'll be down to show.
I'm not saying he's not down to show. I'm just saying he's probably studying a lot more now.
Oh, you think he's got his magazine set up?
He's got
him and the
Matthew Berry.
That's a fact. Podcast crew. They all got their magazines out. They're getting ready for.
They're getting ready. Just know to be prepared.
MLB news. Trade deadline is tomorrow, the 31st at 3 p.m., if I'm not mistaken. We've had one deal already go down, which was a head-scratcher for me. The Mets traded for Marcus Stroman. Gave up 2 young pitching prospects, their 6 and 7 prospects in their farm system, for Marcus Stroman. Another pitcher when you're trying to get rid of 2 other pitchers. You're trying to get rid of Syndergaard and you're trying to get rid of Wheeler. Why are you going out and getting Stroman when the real help you need is, position players?
Like so let me get this straight. You're confused that the Mets did a Mets-like thing, traded for a pitcher while they're trying to. I mean, this is what the Mets do.
But you don't go get a pitcher at the trade deadline if you're out of it. You know
Would
what I mean?
it surprise you in the least bit if the Mets knew that, because obviously the Yankees need starting pitching, that they said, we're out of it, we can't do much, but just for shits and giggles, let's go get Marcus Stroman so the Yankees can't pick him up. I could see them being that petty.
I could see that.
The fact that you have, I get it, you don't want to trade with your crosstown rivals. But if I'm a GM, dude, I don't care. I'm trying to win games. And if winning games means that my crosstown rival gives me the best package of players back, I'm at least going to look into it.
I'm going to hear the offer out at least.
Yeah, the notion that they won't even pick up the phone is just, it's mind-boggling to me. And it's another reason why the Mets are the Mets. And they're going to keep metting and screwing things up. So I got family members that are Mets fans. You know, my grandfather, God bless him, he's a Mets fan. You know, he sheds a tear every time there's baseball on the TV and I walk by him now. So I wish that the Mets could get things going in the right direction, but it just seems like for the past 3 or 4 years, it's been the same thing with the Mets. And they'll probably do it again this year. They'll catch a little lightning in a bottle towards the end of the season. The pitchers will come out, depending on who's left anyway, and have a couple of dominant performances. Cano had a little hot streak going there for about a week or two. Yeah. And then they're going to do exactly what they've done, like I said, the previous 3 or 4 years, which is, hey, if we can keep such and such players healthy, look how we were able to finish the end of the season. This means that we're going to have a good year next year. The worst part about it is this is the year they were finally healthy. Yeah. Outside of Caballero, the one that likes to go on the farm. Cespedes, there we go. Outside of Cespedes, man, they've been pretty healthy.
Yeah, they've been pretty good. You know?
No, they haven't been good. That's the wrong G word.
That's the wrong.
They've been healthy.
They give their fans a sense of false hope. It's like, hey, look, we're gonna do good for like this month stretch, and then.
But it's almost like an insult. Like if I'm a Mets fan, I'm like, bro, do you think I don't have a set of eyes? You don't think I can't notice that we suck and continue to suck and have no hope in the future? It's not like they have a whole bunch of prospects who are waiting in the wings to come up and, you know.
Yeah, their farm system is not full.
Yeah, so I just don't know. If I'm a Mets fan, what do you have me looking forward to?
Yeah.
Nothing.
That's true. I mean, the Yankees, on the other hand, they have tons of prospects, but that right deal hasn't shown up. And you don't want to fleece the farm to get one rent-a-year player and screw yourself in the long.
You don't, and what I like about how the Yankees move, especially when it comes to trades, yes, you can strike out by bringing the A-list guy in or bringing a guy in like Sonny Gray, and he doesn't pan out. But most of the time, if they can handle the pressure of being in New York, they turn out to be solid players. Right. But the Yankees, they make moves and get players like Voit, who the Cardinals were ready to give away. You know, he was
cash consideration.
Yeah, he was nothing to them. He just was somebody they wanted to get off the roster just to get off the roster. And he comes to the Yankees and
he's our everyday starting first baseman.
Exactly. So it's the moves that they make where nobody's watching, nobody's really paying attention. You know, they trade, like you said, cash consideration or a draft pick in future years, and they end up with a player who comes out of nowhere and steals the show. Yeah. And that's where you get your money as a GM in any organization.
And that comes from your scouting department, really being able to go down and find that right talent that's going to fit your team perfectly. You know? So now, NBA, it's very quiet on the NBA front right now. Not a lot going on. Summer leagues basically done for right now.
I am a basketball sucker. All right, so I'm bougie with most sports.
TBT is up.
Yes, I mean, we'll get to that. But my point is I'm bougie in some sports. Like, I'm not going to watch it unless it's top level. Like, I'd never watched track and field a day in my life. The Olympics come on, all of a sudden, I'm all in. I'm all for it.
100%.
I love watching it.
USA champ.
Yeah. So for basketball, I mean, it's cool to watch the summer leagues. Like you said, the TPT tournament. And for those who don't watch the tournament, you guys really are missing high-level basketball. Right. Some of them look at them and go, oh, well, you know, these players aren't even everyday NBA players. Why should I tune in? A lot of these players have NBA experience and are stars in other countries.
In other countries. We just don't know about it.
So a lot of these players that you're going to see that were alumni and played, I don't know, Ohio State has a team, so Aaron Kraft and Diebler are in it. I know there's a couple Baylor players like Pierre Jackson that are in it. And a lot of these players, since they play professionally, have gotten a lot better since their college days.
Right.
So if you were fans of these players in college or fans of those teams in college, you're watching a higher level of basketball than you would otherwise. And it's also cool to see players that are 30. I think Hakeem Warwick is 38 years old, and I got a chance to see him lace him up again, and he's every bit athletic as he was when he was in Syracuse. Like, the dude has go-go gadget arms and legs. He caught a rebound and just jumped and reached, broke man's version of Giannis, reached over and yammed it in. And that was something I hadn't seen in a long time, so it was cool to see. Right. So that TBT tournament is getting interesting. The final 8 should be going to Chicago next week, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's this coming week.
And listen, $2 million is $2 million, man. They play their heart out, and like I said, it's just cool to watch players that you've seen in the past where they are now, other countries they come from, and some teams that have everyday guys who aren't professional basketball players going out there and actually competing at that high of a level.
So, with that, Russell Westbrook got presented last week towards the end. New jersey.
New braids.
Looking like a different guy going to Houston. But other than that, there's not a lot going on in the NBA front.
Nah, I will say,
it's been very quiet.
James Harden did come out and say, we played together before. We know what it's like to play together, so don't expect this big getting to know each other process on the court. While I expected that was what he was going to say, I mean, what else is he going to say, right? Like, we both need the ball in our hand. This isn't going to work out. The only problem I have is the James Harden that's in Houston is not the same James Harden that was in OKC.
Very true.
All right, in OKC, he was 6th man of the year coming off the bench. I mean, he was still a very good player for OKC, but nobody saw him turning into the offensive juggernaut he is today. So it'll be interesting. Russell Westbrook came out and said he doesn't need to play with the ball in his hands, which very well may be true, but I can just go off of what I've seen from him as a player, and he's not much of a catch-and-shoot player. Right. You see him when he gets the rebound, he goes barreling down the court. I would love to see him use like a change of direction, change of pace, as far as not just going 110% every time he touches the ball. Yeah. But he's really going to have to get into the gym and work on that jump shot, because if you're going to play with Harden, you're going to have to understand that he's going to dribble, and when he drives, you better be ready to shoot the ball.
But then also with Harden, you got to hope he's engaged 110%. Because when he's not fully engaged,
that's the one thing I think.
He's half-assing it up the floor. He's not,
I do think with Westbrook there, you bring another dog mentality, and he will get on him. And I think to Harden's credit, he'll listen only because he knows who Westbrook is as a man and then as a player.
You respect him because he's on the same level.
Yeah, he was a former MVP. It's not like he's getting. With all due respect, Chris Paul's going to go down as one of the best point guards ever to lace him up. But he's at that point in his career where certain players are looking at him and going, bro, I get it. You were a beast. Yeah. You could still be a serviceable, point guard, but you're not elite anymore. So
you're not on my level anymore.
Yeah, so you're not about to tell me what to do.
Right. That's true.
So I think that relationship will be interesting. We get to follow it. Also, D'Antoni is going to have to figure out a way to use both of them. So I'm curious to see if he does make any changes to his offensive system. So we'll see what happens, man. I'm excited for the basketball season, though.
It's going to be fun come October. Yeah. Right around the corner.
It's going to be good.
Yeah. And then it's starting to heat up. Camp is open.
It's been heating up, man.
Camps.
It's been heating up. I'm excited.
We're excited, man. Football is officially underway. Camps are open. Guys are there. Injuries are happening.
Not excited about the injuries.
Not excited
that was weird. I'm not excited about the injuries.
We're not excited about the injuries, but it's a part of this time of year. And the first major casualty was A.J. Green.
That it was.
He is out now 6 to 8 weeks. He may miss the first week of – they're ruling him out of week 1 of the regular season. Yeah. He had a very much of a down year last year.
Also injury related.
With
I think it was the turf toe?
Yes.
I think it was the turf toe.
if you go back to the tape, I predicted my guy who was going to be a bust last year was going to be A.J. Green. So.
But it was an injury.
Well.
So now you're like the Grim Reaper. First it was Levy in fantasy football, and now you want to take that mantle.
No, I'm not going to take that mantle. But I'm just saying.
And it has less to do with A.J. Green and more to do with Andy Dalton. I just don't trust him as a quarterback. Yeah. As a wide receiver, A.J. Green's a stud. But he is getting a second opinion. They said he's not. They're saying he's not going to need surgery. Mm-hmm. He may not need surgery. It's tough, and the thing that I find interesting about it is there was questions about the practice field and how it was being maintained before they even got out there. They actually had to send a crew out there, check the field, and they gave them the thumbs up. It's okay to practice. But I forgot which wide receiver, I think it was Boyd, came out and said that the field conditions were horrible as they were practicing on it. That if I'm a player and I'm telling you that this field doesn't look conducive to practicing on, and it's my first week and I get injured, I'm pissed.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm letting you have it.
Yeah, because I told you that I didn't feel comfortable, or maybe not that I didn't feel comfortable, but that we should get this checked out. It'll make me question the next time you say you have
good.
Yeah, that you have my best interest at heart when you're putting us out here in conditions that could lead to significant injuries. Right. And they have a new head coach too. So they finally have a new head coach. I'm sure he's pissed that he's inherited
losing his best receiver.
Yeah, he's inherited a team in which they've been, on that mediocrity treadmill for so long now. They're really trying to make that step, and they got to figure out if they're going to give that red rifle an extension or let Dalton walk and get another QB. So the Bengals have a very interesting.
I feel like the Bengals are in that same boat as the Buccaneers. You got Jameis coming up with his
There's a couple
contract.
teams that are in the same position that they are. I mean, you look at a team like the Titans. Yeah. They had a couple impressive wins last year, but it all comes down to quarterback play. If there is any question as to who is the leader on the team or who is the best at that quarterback position on your team, you're going to be stuck in that level of mediocrity. That's the same reason, like you said, the Bucs are in that position. Yeah. Interestingly enough, they came from the same draft, so we'll see how that pans out. But unfortunately in the NFL, man, if you do not have a top-flight quarterback, you better be damn good, like Baltimore Ravens defense good. And I'm talking about, Ray Lewis. Even last year, though. Last year they had an amazing defense. But
Eric Weddle.
But you have to have at least a game manager, Alex Smith type quarterback to be even in the conversation.
You have to.
It's not like any other sport. I mean, the quarterback is the most important player on your team. And again, if you look at the teams that every year are in the top 10 rankings, even top 5 rankings, it's basically the list of who's who at quarterback.
Right.
So
we also get the release of Madden coming up soon.
We do. I'm hyped. Your son's going to run for me again. Kai.
Our boys.
Don't run.
The Hurricanes.
Yes.
Are officially in this year.
They are. Although I'm gonna be honest with you, that feature's been in for 2 or 3 years. Have not played it once.
But this is the first year they start bringing in.
Yeah, with the colleges and you can play.
Yeah,
but just the overall, I'm not even gonna get too hype yet because these past couple years.
A little bit of a disappointment.
Yeah, they've been pissing me off, man. You guys need to go watch some 2K videos because that NBA 2K is real.
Step back.
Yeah, man. NBA 2K's headed shoulders above Madden when it comes to. I love franchise mode. I know a lot of people do the MUT.
The MUT mode.
Yeah, and a lot of people do the same thing for 2K.
And then there's the storyline mode, which that's a whole different path.
But you can only play one position, which is kind of.
Which is.
I get it. Quarterback is a sexy position, but it would be nice for them to add more positions.
Yeah.
But
I think in due time they can. Once they start figuring it out a little bit more.
But that's the thing that bothers me is like 2K. If people at 2K done figured it out 10 years ago, you still are on that just figuring out stage. I just don't understand.
Yeah, it's true, man.
But I digress. So, also, keeping in line with football, you got Titans free safety, Kevin Byard, who got paid. He got paid.
The bag, as they're saying.
He got the bag. 5 years, $70.5 million. He got paid handsomely, my friend.
He did.
Yeah, he did.
Very much so.
Yeah.
There's still a lot of guys out there who are waiting, holding out, as they say.
Honestly, I probably couldn't even sign that piece of paper. My hand would be shaking. I'd be nervous. I'd probably cut myself and sign it in blood just to make sure.
Just to make sure, that
you
they
get
know everything going.
Yeah, that they know it's me and that money.
Bring 7 forms of ID.
Yeah, that check's got to clear. So he gets paid for the Titans, which is nice. It's interesting because the NFL was devaluing the safety position for so long, and now you're seeing players like him, like Collins, starting to get paid. And you could even see it in the draft with someone like Derwin James, who everyone and their mother knew was going to be an amazing safety in the NFL. And he slid all the way to the Chargers, and you saw what he did his rookie year. He made the top 100 list, which I don't really
put much stock in
I don't put much stock in it, but the fact that he was able to make that list, I don't focus on where they fall. I kind of like just to hear what other NFL players have to say about them, because it's cool. You get breakdowns.
That's where it really comes from.
Yeah, you get breakdowns from some of the analysts who have previously played, which is nice, but to get a breakdown of someone who's on the field with him, that can be like, man, I thought I had that tackle. And actually, speaking of Derwin James, they had a video on his top 100 reel of Pat Mahomes breaking off to his right, doing Pat Mahomes-like things, and he's looking more towards the sideline, and out of nowhere just snaps his head upfield, sees DeAnthony Thomas streaking wide open, and uncorks a bomb, and 99.9% of the time, touchdown. And Derwin James was able to flip his hips, explode, and actually get a hand on the ball. And after the game, Pat Mahomes is dapping him up. You know how they show each other love after the game. And he was like, man, I thought I had you. Like, that should have been a touchdown. And it should have. You see it every time. And he just got his hand in there. So he's a beast, man. And so it's interesting to see him starting to show why the safety position, if you can get an impact player there, should still be valued and drafted high.
Yeah. I mean, they used to go high with Ed Reed, Sean Taylor, rest in peace, Earl Thomas, guys like that were going high. Over the last couple of years, it dropped, like you mentioned, and now it's the resurgence. Holdouts, though, we got Zeke. We've got Mike Thomas, Melvin Gordon,
Yannick
Ngakoue.
You're welcome.
Trent Williams, just to name a few.
Those are like the big names.
Yeah, the big names. You still got a lot of guys, older veterans that'll hold out just because they don't want to go through training camp and 2 days and all that stuff. But those are the big names. Let's just talk about Zeke real quick before we wrap this episode up. Does he deserve that extension now, or do you pay a guy like Dak, Cooper,
Lawrence got paid, so it's just Dak, Cooper, and Zeke are the big three.
Cooper and Zeke, but then you also got your linebacker. I'm sorry. On the
Smith?
other side of the ball. Yes, Smith.
Well, Smith isn't up this year, but the three that they are going to worry about is them three, obviously. Mm-hmm. I think in most cases you do it from what's more important to your team. Obviously, the quarterback position is going to get paid. I don't think Dak Prescott is a top-flight quarterback in the NFL. I do believe he's clutch. Yeah. I do believe in the playoffs when there's a play that needs to be made and it's 3rd and 15 and he's sitting there scrambling, that he can get the job done. Can you win a Super Bowl with him? I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, not sure about that.
And that's the problem that a lot of these NFL teams are having is NFL contracts in general, and I think it's the only sport that does this. You get paid off of whoever the last guy to get paid off of his contract, no matter if you're better than him or not. Yeah, which is kind of interesting. I know in the NBA you're only allowed, and this is probably the reason why, but in the NBA you're only allowed a max salary per player.
Right.
In the NFL, they obviously don't do that. So you got players like Dak Prescott who are going to be able to go, oh, look, Carson Wentz just signed for an XY dollar amount.
This is what I want.
Yeah, that's what I deserve. I don't think he deserves the money, but at this point, what are you going to do?
Yeah. You're kind of stuck. You gotta pay him because there's no other option.
Yeah,
out there.
you gotta pay him. You gotta keep him happy. He's been a good soldier. He showed up to camp.
Yep.
If you're just talking off of talent alone, Zeke's the best out of all three of them,
right,
as far as impact he can have in a game. But do you really want to? He's got 2 years left on his contract. Mm-hmm. We've seen what happened. He wants Gurley money, but we all know Gurley didn't even play half the snaps in the Super Bowl.
Or the playoffs.
Yeah, or in the playoffs alone. So you don't know if Gurley's going to be able to step back and have another breakout year. But my point being, is it smart to throw all that money to the running back position when in 3 to 5 years? I think if they can, it's probably going to be a long-term deal, but if they could find a way to do a nice short-term deal, maybe 2 years at a big number.
And the thing with him is you got to think the off-the-field crap.
That's true, too.
It's been 2 years.
My man can't stay out of trouble.
He can't stay out of trouble.
Yeah.
And he's asking for big-time money, but these big-time players that get that type of money, they're not getting in this type of trouble every offseason. Not all of them, but I'd say 95% are not getting in this type of trouble.
The problem with Zeke is, and you got to I feel like him and OBJ are kind of the same, right? Like, Zeke gets in trouble, but he don't get in trouble. Like, he's not locked up. Mm-hmm. In the offseason, he didn't spend 3 months in jail. So, unfortunately, when you start off with a bad reputation as far as just getting into knucklehead problems, those all become amplified.
Right.
So, unfortunately for him, he's not going to get the benefit of the doubt in any circumstance. And if I'm an organization, I don't want you to make my organization look bad. So, yeah, that's obviously going to come up. And there'll probably be, stipulations in the contract that say, hey, if this happens, bro, you ain't getting that money.
Right.
We get to recoup that back.
Yeah.
So, Zeke, they need him. Pollard, the running back that they drafted out of Memphis, is taking the first team snaps right now in camp. That's not going to get it done. Yeah. So they're going to get Zeke back in there.
I think what the Cowboys do need is they need to have Fredericks back at center.
Yeah.
Because without him at center, you saw that glaring hole and how the whole offensive line was not the same.
Yeah, I mean, I think that whole offensive line in general last year lived off of what it had done in the past.
Right.
A lot of people think Cowboys, and they were able to put together a dominant line. They were like, oh, they have the best offensive line in football. And that narrative kind of just took over from year to year. But I think if you really look at them the past 2 years, they've struggled on that side of the ball.
Yeah.
Players want money, players get injured, and that's just kind of the nature of the beast. I do think out of all the holdouts, the most important one to their team I like Thomas. I think Michael Thomas does a hell of a lot for the Saints, and I think he's another player. I just think him and Julio Jones are kind of waiting on each other.
Yeah.
Like, all right, who's going to sign first?
Who's going to flinch?
Yeah, who's going to sign first so that I can, one-up you. Not that they have anything personal against each other, but it'll just be easier to be like, all right, here's the bar. Now you know what I'm working with.
This is what I want. I want X, Y, Z, and that's where you go from there.
Yeah, and that's the money.
That's the nature of the beast.
Yeah, Melvin Gordon, another running back that's looking for his money. Another running back that does a lot for his team. Mm-hmm. I do think they don't have a runner like him, but they have a lot of weapons on their team that can kind of mask them not having Melvin Gordon for any period of time that he may or may not be sitting out. So I think their feet are a little dug into the sand as far as how much they're willing to pay him. Last I read, it was $2 or $3 million annually apart per year, which is a nice chunk of change when,
Yeah. But he's also one of the guys that was a big supporter of Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah.
Sitting out all of last year. So he's not opposed to doing that.
But players have to understand, Le'Veon Bell, if you sit down and just look at the numbers, I mean, from a respect standpoint, I get it. He's somewhere that he feels they want him, even though the whole Adam Gase thing came out. He's at a place where he feels wanted, and I'm sure that's important to him. But just from a monetary value standpoint, he didn't make any money.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, he ran the risk of possibly getting injured during that year. But if he stayed healthy, and that's a big if, I know, but if he stayed healthy and finished that year out and then signed a contract, this year, he would have gotten more money cumulatively anyway at the end than he would or is going to now that he sat out a year. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays off of each other. A lot of running backs now need to understand that they're not Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah.
You didn't tote the rock 400-plus times a game.
Just because you play the same position.
Yeah, there's maybe. So when people were like, oh, other players are going to do this, all right, cool. Not every player is an elite running back. There's maybe.
You may think it.
Yeah.
But
so I think they're in for a rude awakening. Yannick Ngakoue, I think he deserves his money. He is a hell of a pass rusher. You really haven't. It's been pretty quiet on that front. So
I think they're probably working something out.
They have to be. He's one of their best pass rushers, and that's where.
Won't be surprised to see.
Yeah, and that's where the Jaguars have kind of held their hat. The one other extension that happened was the Bobby Wagner extension.
Yes, Bobby Wagner.
In which my man had no agent, so he don't got to break off no bread for nobody.
For nobody.
He signed that extension, that 3-year extension, $54 million. And
highest paid linebacker.
Yeah, inside linebacker. And he's the heart and soul of their defense. The Seahawks were reluctant to pay a lot of their players. You see a la Richard Sherman. Yeah, the Legion of Boom is no more. But Wagner's the type of player that, you really don't hear about him in the news. Yeah. But he just comes and lays the boom. And he's,
so true.
I mean, it's got to help. He's a 99 in Madden, right? Yeah. So he's got to be doing something.
There's only 4 there.
Yeah, he's got to be doing something right. All jokes aside, though, man, it's good that they got something worked out. I like the type of player he is. He kind of just quiet, does his thing, and at the end of the day, he has 13 tackles, a strip fumble, and an interception. Yeah.
So with that being said, guys, we appreciate you guys listening this week. www.thesportsfrenzypodcast.com for all our episodes, where you could find us, all that good stuff. Big thank you to Team Left Jab for letting us simulcast on their network for that short time. We appreciate you guys. But now come and find us, www.thesportsfrenzypodcast.com. We'll catch you guys later this week. Peace.